What do you say, everybody? Welcome to the Bama Insider postgame show. We're hanging out with you right next to the stadium. What a gorgeous night here in Tuscaloosa. We're at the Westgate Luxury Condominium Sky Deck. And I mean, right now, as you can see, we are next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm sitting up here. They just fed us. We watched the end of the Alabama game and another crushing performance by the Crimson Tide. What a great win for Alabama. And it was a game where, coming into this, there was some concern, what was Lane Kiffin going to be able to pull out against Nick Saban, right? Well, what we found is that Alabama came into this game with a great game plan. They ran the football. They controlled the clock. They scored early, and they put Ole Miss in a position that they really hadn't been all year long. And Alabama got the win. Look, I want to hear from you guys. Call in right now. The phone line is open at 205-850-0883. We are going to talk about this game, and we are going on to the line right now to get this thing going. But before I take this call, I want to remind everyone of a couple things. First off, we're going to hear from Nick Saban, and we're going to hear from Lane Kiffin on the show. Their post-game press conferences, we will have those. Kyle Henderson and Trey Yanity will be on as well to help out. So we're going to hear from those guys later on in the show. The other thing is I need you to like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the bell. That's your way of saying, hey, we're hanging out and we're doing this thing together after a huge win by Alabama today. All right, let's go to the phone lines and let's talk about this game. Who's this and where are you calling from?
What's going on, Mick? This is Jared from Buffalo, man. How you doing?
Jarek, what's up, dude? How about this? First off, how about a shout out for like the scene that we're at right now? I mean, you got to appreciate this being in Buffalo, right?
Oh, man. Let me tell you something, man. I wish, I dreamed that I could have a scene, like stuff like that, man. The Bill Stadium it's not even in Buffalo. It's in Orchard Park, man. So we're not fortunate enough to have a view that you guys are having right now. But, just talking about this game real quick, man, there's a lot of things that we got to talk. There's a lot of things that were great about this. Number one, the crowd was phenomenal. The crowd was in it. I definitely feel like they had a huge impact, huge influence in this game. I felt like our defense had the intensity. Henry and Christian Harris, for the most part, these guys, they didn't look really confused. They pretty much they saw one read and they went strictly for it. They didn't really think too much for the most part until the second half, but I'll talk about that later. But defensive line, let's give credit to some of our reserve guys, right? Timothy Smith, I thought, had a phenomenal game today. Made a crucial stop at the goal line. He was very, very strong in the interior, was a huge penetrator. The same thing with Badarian Mathis. The same thing with Will Anderson. He was phenomenal. I thought, again, Drew Sanders did a great job setting the edge, not really letting a lot of those running backs going out to the outside. But for the most part, our front seven dominated. Our front seven was the difference, made our secondary's job a lot easier. And for the most part, again, Ole Miss is a team that loves to run RPOs. They love to kind of spread you out, use those big, physical receivers. They did lose Mingo, which again, that's a big star that they kind of lost. But they got other guys that can make plays. And Alabama did a good job for the most part in the first half of kind of neutralizing what Ole Miss does really good, especially stopping the run, right? Ole Miss had over close to 200 rush yards against Alabama last year, and Alabama did a great job again with the defensive line, really neutralizing that offensive line, penetrating. A lot of those guys were just really disrupting the run plays, not really letting guys like Parrish, Connor, and Ely really get going.
Yeah, look, I mean, first off, great call as always, Jarek. And I agree, man. Like, I kind of saw this coming. What did I pick? 52-35 was my final that I picked. I mean, I thought going into this game that the biggest difference was Alabama's defense to Ole Miss's offense compared to Ole Miss's defense against Alabama's offense. I felt like we didn't know who Ole Miss's defense was. We saw that they've had a good start to the season, but what we found out today is that Pete Golding and his staff did a great job of game planning. That stop by Timothy Smith was just huge, and that came in a part of the game where it was like, okay, what's going to happen here? Lane Kiffin kept rolling the dice on fourth down. It was like he was playing PlayStation instead of like coaching a real football game. And looking back on this game, Ole Miss made too many coaching mistakes in this game to win. And I'm talking about going for it on fourth down and not kicking, not taking the points, trying to get the first down and not getting it. They didn't play conservatively, and it came back to bite them. But I agree. I think Alabama's defense, and you started out by saying it wasn't the guys on the front line. It was a lot of the backup guys, the second string guys that were in there making huge plays today for Alabama. Collectively, I loved it. I love the fact that Lane Kiffin on the 1-4 down tried to run the option like we didn't figure that out by now. Hey, guess what? I told you guys right after that game that Alabama would have the option figured out when we were on the post game after the Florida game, right? I mean, it's because we knew it. We knew that was going to happen, and it did.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, great call.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and
absolutely
look,
right. Got to give a lot of credit to Pete Golding for that.
Yeah, Pete Golding and his staff did a great job, Jarek. Awesome call. Call in tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. We'll be back on with our call-in show. Quick hitter tonight, but, man, you're the perfect guy to lead the show off. And to you and everyone in Buffalo, from all of us down here in Tuscaloosa, a hearty Roll Tide, my friend.
Roll Tide, brother. I'll definitely make sure to call back. There's a lot more I want to say for this thing, but for all the guys that are watching out there, man, stay safe out there. Have a blessed night.
Yep. Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Call in.
All right.
Jarek's one of those. He's I got to tell you, man, he's like an all-American caller on this show, man. He is an all-American caller. So let's see who's going to follow that up as we hang out with you from right in front of Bryant-Denny Stadium on the sky deck here at the Westgate Luxury Condominiums. And let me tell you guys about Westgate Luxury Condominiums. You can find out more information at westgateal.com, located just steps away from Bryant-Denny Stadium. We're hanging out at the exclusive Skygate Club. We just had shrimp and grits. We just had hamburger sliders. I got steak over here that I didn't even get a chance to eat because we had a little camera. We had a light fall we had to fix real quick. So I got the food, but we didn't get a chance to eat it. But we want you guys to come here and try it. It's amazing. It really is fun. They do these catered game days, unparalleled service. It's been just fantastic. You can find out more information by calling 855-287-1318 or westgateal.com. All right, back to the phone lines again as we talk about this Alabama win over Ole Miss. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, it's Demetrius from North Carolina.
Demetrius, Roll Tide, man. How's it going?
It's going on. It's going. I'm out here on the river fishing. I had game over with. Come out here before sun went down. But yeah,
well, hold on. Before I gotta stop you right there, Demetrius. What are we fishing for tonight?
Oh, largemouth bass.
Okay.
I'm a bass fisherman.
Okay, just making sure. Just wanted to find out what we were into tonight. Yeah, I love bass fishing. All right, you use the Texas rig with the rubber worm?
I'm using top water now. I ain't had no luck. But
okay.
Could turn around in a second. But yeah, speaking of turnaround, that's what I was getting ready to talk about. It was this game last year where the defense came around, turned the table. Turned around last year, and I believe, from what I see, things are starting to come along on both sides of the ball, all phases of the game. I'm proud of them young men, especially Brian Robinson. He was he beast mode today. Second half, gave us some points, but overall, it's a work in progress, and I see it's coming along. Like the previous caller said, the backups starting to come in, get a good rotation coming in and out. That's going to pay off. That's going to pay dividends, and I'm proud of these young men tonight.
Look, Demetrius, I'm with you, man. And let me just say this real quick. Shout out, Devin, for the super chat. High five right back at you, man. Thank you. Well played. Just wish the play calling and offense tempo would stay consistent for the whole game. I know Saban doesn't like running up the score. I would have liked to have seen him run up the score too, Demetrius. I'm going with Devin. He just gave us $5. I'm going to agree with him. But that's not the way that Coach Saban does it. Even with someone like Lane Kiffin that really cost Alabama a national championship by being a pain right at the end of his tenure at Alabama. But he still is. He still is a great.
It kind of left a bad taste in my mouth about Lane. After the opportunity that Coach Saban give somebody, at least stick it out to the end. And, like Jeremy Pruitt and Sark, they stuck it out to the end, didn't lose focus. Other coaches, a couple coaches, they, worried about the next job and not worried about game planning and bit us in the butt, but, we got the Zen Master as the head coach, and hey, but I'm proud of these young men. I'm going to let you go to your next call and continue to listen to the show, and roll Tide.
Roll Tide, and don't forget, 6 o'clock tomorrow night, we're going to take your calls. I want to hear back from you, and we'll get into a more in-depth conversation. All right, let's just keep going back to the phone lines. And again, like and subscribe as you guys hang out right here on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. Kyle Henderson, Trey Yanity coming up, Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin press conferences. But we're talking right now to you guys, we're getting our fingers on the pulse of Alabama Nation. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Oh, this is Jeff from Alabama, baby. You know what's up?
What's up, Jeff?
Oh, I just got to say something. I said that we would run away with this game. I said that, and nobody believed me. Nobody. I don't care if they scored 21 points. We had that game won in the first quarter. That was it. It was over in the first quarter. It wasn't coming back. And when they got 28 in the second and the half, it was over at that point. When they got 35, it was over. It was never coming back. And that last touchdown was garbage. That's all I got to say. But,
yeah, look, I agree. Jeff, let me ask you this, man. We were talking off camera before we went on the air. I said, guys, what was the most important play of the entire game? Like, what separated Alabama from Ole Miss in this game? What's your opinion? I'm going to tell you mine. The fourth down play. You're right. The first one, when we stopped them and they didn't score. That's right. When they were going down the field and we stopped them at the fourth down play, they didn't score. They were done. They were toast. And then Lane Kiffin was trying to catch up the entire game. He just couldn't do it.
And still people are look, defensive side, defense did a really good job. They played their butt off. You got to give it to them. I mean, come on. They had 3 fourth down stops. They had so many other stops on top of that. I mean, come on. I knew they were going to score points. I'm not stupid. I know it's Ole Miss. But that's all I'm getting. We win the game. Who cares? We're 5-0, they're 3-1, just like I said. So all the Ole Miss fans can go ahead and sit there and say what they want to, but they lost. Don't try to get no more win off of it, too. I don't want to hear that crap.
Well, look, the other thing, and you hear some there's an escort right behind me. You guys hear that? Look, I will say this. Arkansas and Ole Miss not ready for prime time yet. They stepped up to the big stage, and they just weren't able to hang. I mean, and I'm not saying that there's not going to come a point where either one of those programs won't be pushing in that type of environment. But today, we figured out that it's a two-team race right now, Alabama and Georgia, not just for the SEC, but for the national championship. They have separated themselves from every single team in the league. And I don't mean the SEC. I mean the entire league.
I mean the entire league, because they're like way up here, and everybody else is down here looking down on them. Or looking up, excuse me, how to say that.
Well, Jeff.
But that Georgia team, they got a good defense. Mm-hmm. I got to give them that. But if they put Stetson Bennett against us, it'll be over.
We got to get there first. We got Texas A&M next week. But doesn't it feel like there's a collision coming? Maybe two? Alabama and Georgia.
The only way Alabama can lose is if they beat the damn self.
Well, final thoughts, Jeff. We've got a short window tonight. Hey, don't forget to call in tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Yeah. But anything else before I get to the next call?
I'm happy to win. I told everybody we would win. Nobody believed me. Nobody said that we would score 21 points in the first quarter. I said that. I didn't know it would be 28 by halftime, but hey, that's cool too. We did. We scored 20, and the game was over pretty much after that drive, like I said. So let's just enjoy the win. Let's not complain. Hey, Nick got this. I told you Nick had this. Defense is going to fix itself, and we're going to keep getting better and keep getting better until we get to that national championship game. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Thank you, Jeff. Again, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, our Sunday night call-in show right here on Bama Insider and the Bama Insider YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, guys, as you hang out with us outside of Bryant-Denny Stadium on a Saturday in Tuscaloosa after another convincing Alabama win. Nick Saban has won more games against top 25 competition than any other football coach in the history of the game, and he added to that total today by a final score of 42-21. Who's this and where you calling from?
It's Robert from Mobile.
Robert, what's up, man? Roll Tide.
Hey, Roll Tide. Oh, well, with all due respect to your last caller, was over with at halftime because the 21 points we scored in the second quarter. But, I mean, that's neither here nor there. The game was over early, so that's the main thing. We have to give it to Pete Golden. And, he came through. The defense came through. 21 points, really, like the guy said, the last touch was garbage time touchdown. So, I mean, but holding Ole Miss on the 230 points. Yeah, that's what you do. I mean, they dominated the game we dominated the game on defense. The play of the game was, and the turning point of the game was the opening drive by Ole Miss and not getting that fourth down conversion. They came through there and they turned the game around.
One play. One fourth down play changed the entire complexion of what we saw behind us today here in Tuscaloosa. One play. One play that they didn't get. You know that speech? It's like in a movie. Robert De Niro is the football coach, and he's talking about inches. It's like, I got an inch. That it was like this right here. And that inch that they didn't get, that little bit of yardage, thanks to Tim Smith, changed the entire game. And Alabama rolled them right out of here after that.
Exactly. Now, we would still won the game because, again, Alabama's the better team. But it turned it from the game's over at halftime. Okay, if they get that touchdown, then, okay, it might have been a four-quarter game. So it turned it from the game's over now to, okay, it's not going to be a four-quarter game. The game just ended. Sorry, Ole Miss. Better luck next year. That's what that one play did. Alabama at least still would have won. But it's okay now that we I was saying, now I must crush you. That was the attitude that the team had after that. And of course, Brian Robinson, total beast mode in this game. He definitely MVP of the game. Bryce Young was steady and stable as he always is. Again, I think he'll still be the Heisman front runner. I don't think this was quite the Heisman moment game we were hoping it would be for him. It was more like Brian Robinson's coming out the party. But he's got plenty of more games to make that Heisman statement game that we want it to be. I'm all got Georgia, like you said. The college football has come down now to Alabama and Georgia, and everybody else.
Yeah,
those are the two teams right now.
Yeah, no doubt at all. I totally agree. That first drive, they didn't get the touchdown, they didn't get the first down, they went on fourth, and Brian Robinson was the MVP of this game. I mean, this was his game. This was the Daniel Moore, Brian Robinson print, right? Is him trucking some Ole Miss dudes. I mean, the guy didn't play last week. He's waited his turn. The other guys probably behind him have more talent, but the guy has stuck it out. He's earned the right to get the start and to basically show what he can do. And I think that the two things I love the most about him, he's not a breakaway guy, but he holds on to the football and he is able to take a hit and keep on going, right? Straight ahead.
Gets stronger as the game goes.
Yes, he gets stronger as the game's going. Like he had the kind of game that we wanted him to have. And this was definitely a game that we'll always kind of remember that it was a lot of Brian Robinson in this game. Hold on. Let me look at the official numbers here. 36 times he toted the rock for 171 and 4 touchdowns. Get the paintbrush out, Daniel Moore. This is the Brian Robinson print game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were shocked when they stopped him on their 4th and 1. Wow, you stopped him? He didn't get in the yard?
Yeah.
That's how shocking it was because he was in total beast mode. If we look back, it was also against Ole Miss when Najee Harris went into beast mode. and didn't get out of it for the rest of the season.
Right.
And hopefully it will be Brian Robinson. Okay, the beast mode has started, and he's going to be there for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But okay, I'll get off and I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay. Hey, great call, man. I'm looking forward to talking to you tomorrow night. And roll tide. Robert from Mobile, right up in my neck of the woods. All right, look, we got some raindrops out here on our set. So as I answer this next call, I want we're going to kind of be moving around a little bit. This is something that we definitely haven't anticipated. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, am I here?
Yeah, who's this and where are you calling from?
Oh, man. Okay, awesome. Hey, this is Adam from Tuscaloosa. I was just calling. I just left the student section, and I had a quick question. I just want to know, how loud did that stadium actually get today in that first half?
Hey, that is a great question because I got to tell you, you guys had maybe your best performance. I thought that the stadium –
You think so?
Yes. I mean, I thought the stadium sounded pretty loud. What did you think?
You know, I was thinking about it. You know, we haven't had a full home game that was this since 2019 at LSU, and I was just calling. I want to know how loud the stadium was.
Yeah. No, I mean, this was a chance too. This was definitely a chance to to go out there and kind of say, hey, we can make this one of the best environments, the best home environments in college sports. And I think that's kind of where we want to do what we want to do, the direction that the program needs to go.
Very true.
So,
two quick things. I wanted to say, Paul O'Brien did a great job for doing majority of 3-3 or 4.
say that again. Sorry, you were kind of breaking up a little bit.
I wanted to shout Bill O'Brien out for running the football today. They were in a 3-4 with the jack linebacker or a 3-5 or a 3-3-5 at the start, and we ran the ball consistently over and over again. I was just proud to see that he understands that when the defense gives you the run lane, you take them.
Hey, I totally agree with that. They're playing that 3-man front, and you got to be able to run the ball on that.
Absolutely, and I was just proud of Bill O'Brien for recognizing that, understanding that, hey, we got a good O-line, we got some backs in there that are about it, and they went in there and they did their business. I was happy to see what the offensive line was able to do with the 3-man front. They pushed them around, made it look like criminals the entire game.
Yeah, yep. That's certainly it. They did that, and what a great win for Alabama. I mean, look, they've won a bunch of games over the years, so it's not like it's not like this is any different than any of those games. They're all important, but it was just this game came in with the kind of hype that you would have in WrestleMania, and that's partly because of Lane Kiffin. Like he kind of brings that hype with him. And to his credit, Nick Saban always seems to have the game plan. So, well, look.
And I just had a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a coaching bust for Lane Kiffin to just not get out the entire football game? He was that 3-down lineman the entire football game, and I mean, we made it very apparent in the first quarter that we're just going to line up and run football. And Bryce Young's going to do an RPO or a safety, an easy pass on 3rd down. 1st and 2nd down, we're out here to run the football. And they never got out of the 5-man front within the box. And I was just wondering, is that a coaching point, or is that just a respect to how fast our wide receivers are out front?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Like I don't know. I mean, I thought that there would be some adjustments made. And there just weren't, like I figured at some point Ole Miss would make some adjustments, and it just never happened. So I don't really know.
Yeah, I was sitting you could see it from the stadium, and you can't really see it. You can't see it as you see it on the TV, but you saw the B and the C gaps would be open the entire time because they put the defensive end over the top end. And they have a 2-gap hole just consistently throughout the game. You knew the holes were there before the adjustments. And I just want to say that I'm proud of Bill O'Brien for realizing the lack of adjustments made and just capitalizing on the run game, because we haven't seen that so far this year.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, hey, great call. We're going to go to another call as we hang out here. Trey Yanity's jumping on with us as well. But Roll Tide, my friend, thank you.
Yeah, Roll Tide, man.
Good job with the student section, too. All right, Trey, you ready to take some calls? I got to figure out how to get the power on
Let's
over here.
do it, yeah.
And we're in the rain. We're getting rained on.
But, yeah, the rain is starting to come down. All kinds of chaos out here post-game following this dominant win for Alabama. But I'm excited to take some calls. I want everybody's opinion. This was a weird game. I didn't really get a feel for it at any point. I want your take on it, too. But let's get back to the phone lines. Can you hear now? I can. I got audio
good.
now.
All right.
No echo this week either.
No echo this week. All right. Let's go back to the phone lines. Who's this and where are you calling from?
What's up, Mick? This is Sean from Huntsville.
What's up, Sean?
What's up, Sean? Best caller in the game
What's
right
going on,
here.
Trey?
How you doing, Sean?
Mick? How you guys doing?
Doing good.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, guys. First thing I want to say is if we're gonna get on Pete in the bad times, let's be fair and give Pete flowers for the defensive effort today.
No doubt
Let's
about
give
it.
Pete Golding's effort some flowers today. Yeah, did we lose some intensity the second half on defense? We did. You know what I mean? But for the most part, the defense played an outstanding game.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
No, we got you loud and clear, man. You're doing great. Keep it going, Sean.
Yeah, the defense played an outstanding game, man. I'm very, very proud of those guys. I'm very, very proud of the offensive effort. We got a little discombobulated late in the second half, and it's to be expected. Sometimes it's hard to play with a lead like that. We got to learn how to fight through that. We got a tough one coming up on the road. Celebrate tonight. You know what I mean? Let's put it behind us, because say what you want, but those guys at Texas A&M, the crowd going to be packed. They'll have a record sellout because Bama's coming. You know what I mean? We can't forget what Jimbo said. You know what I mean? We're a little beat up right now. Let's put it behind us. Let's practice hard. Get ready to go on the road for another tough game. You know what I mean? Want to say Roll Tide to everybody in the chat. That's me, SPH Huntsville. Say what's up to Kyle, Mick, Trey. You guys do a great job, man. And as always, I will continue to support Roll Tide, baby, to everybody.
Hey, Roll Tide, and you're one of our favorite callers. You're part of that All-American calling crew that we have. So thank you so much, Sean. And don't forget, tomorrow at 6 o'clock, we'll have our call-in show. Roll Tide. Great call. All right, let's go right back to the phone lines. And look, we're working through drizzle right now, but I think we made it. We got the power turned back on. We had a light go out, but it's all in a day's work. Like and subscribe. That's how you say Roll Tide to us. With Trey Yanity, I'm Mick Gillispie talking about Alabama's dominant 42-21 win over Ole Miss in Tuscaloosa. Over Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, Matt Corral, and the hype machine that is Ole Miss. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, you there?
Oh, hey.
Hey.
This is James. Hey, this is James from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I just want to say it was a great game today. And I'm really proud of the defense today. They played with tremendous poise out there today. Offense did what they usually do. I'm happy about it today. Will Anderson did a real good job as usual. And he did a real good job today. And I was just wondering, how do y'all feel about the Texas A&M game for next week?
Yeah, hey, look, right out of the chute, this is part of the show. Is like we start looking ahead. Alabama took care of Ole Miss. And now it's start to look at Texas A&M.
And I was going to say, this was a game that we talked about from the jump in last week's postgame show because people really weren't worried about Southern Miss at all. And it's crazy to think that we're already flipping the page this quickly, that this game, was such a dominant effort today. And you look all over the board. And I'm excited to hear your take on this from our caller here. But, what was your favorite part of the game? Because Alabama just broke it down in so many different ways. And, you look at the defense in particular. Look at that defensive line. Look at Fidarian Mathis. Look at Tim Smith. Look at some of these guys, the linebackers, communicating better today, playing better. What was your favorite part of the defense today? A defense that I believe held the Ole Miss rushing room to maybe just 78 yards on the entire game. Insane.
Well, my favorite part of it was that sack that Phil Max had.
Oh, yeah.
That was the biggest point in the game. That was the biggest game changer in the game. Due to the simple fact they were kind of getting a little bit momentum. I ain't gonna say a lot, but a little bit. And when that third down sack took place, oh, man, it just changed the game for the good.
Yeah. Well, hey, great call. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, we're going to do it. We'll be more in depth. We'll kind of start really digging into Texas A&M. And in the Magnolia State, we say roll tide to you, my friend. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Great call. All right, let's go back to the phone lines again with Trey Yanity. I'm Mick Gillispie. We're waiting on Kyle Henderson. We'll hear from Nick Saban. We're going to have Lane Kiffin's post-game press conference. I can't wait to hear what Lane has to say.
And, it actually already went down. You guys can go to the BamaInsider YouTube page here in just a few moments and check that out on our YouTube page. We weren't able to get the live audio, unfortunately, but from what I could tell, he was incredibly animated. That's going to be a fun one to hear. I'm excited to hear what he had to say.
Let's play it on here and listen to it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. All right, but first, let's go back to the phone lines. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey guys, roll tide. This is Jay in Atlanta. How are y'all doing?
What's up, Jay? From Hot Atlanta.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I'll run through a few points. First, I think one of the greatest defensive plays was shutting down that option. A shout out to Toa. I mean, I think that kind of erased the option that Kiffin had so much success with last year. Just erased that mojo, and then also kind of made up for how poor the guys looked in Gainesville. And I feel like Drew Sanders really turned the corner today. I feel like he's getting better every minute. And speaking of Sanders, I do want to kind of inquire with you guys, are we seeing the end of Trey? Is Trey going to transfer? I feel bad for the kid. He's had such a streak of bad luck, and I just feel like he's getting pushed further down that roster. And then a few other final 2 points, and come back to that Trey Sanders comment, but Lane Kiffin's ego, just when I want to trust the guy that he's grown up and found maturity and knows how to manage the game, he comes out and does that mic drop before kickoff and just shows his you know what, and then just sets the tone for what a fool he is. And he never recovers. Like, that mic drop shows you the Lane Kiffin that was at Tennessee, shows you the Lane Kiffin that previously was he's a child, And and that's how he coached today. Like you said, like he was playing a PlayStation game. And the final point, I want everyone in Bama Nation to know, I'm in Atlanta, and all I hear is dogs barking. Think about this. As good as Georgia's look, Bama might beat Georgia twice this year. And I can't tell you what that'll do to Dog Nation. If this, I can't imagine Kirby putting together a better defense than what we're seeing right now. And if Bama shuts that team down twice to win a national title, I don't think Dog Nation will ever recover. Those are my points, guys. I'm going to hang up and let you answer. And
first off, Trey, you got to turn your computer.
Yeah, I was going to say, we
down.
better get this out of here.
The not Trey Sanders, but Trey Yanity, turn your computer down. I think Trey Sanders is fine. And, he kind of had some personal setbacks. I mean, the car accident really cost him. But if he does like Brian Robinson and he watches the guy that's toting the rock right now, he'll know that he'll get his opportunity. He's just got to stick with it. That's part of the game.
Yeah, no, John. I mean, whenever I hear the end of Trey, that's red alarms everywhere for me. I don't like to hear that now, but I don't necessarily think this is the end of Trey. And like everybody has seen over these last few years, you wait your turn in this running back room, you're going to get your chance. And you see the way that Brian Robinson was able to work today. While Jason McClellan was able to get his reps too. Trey Sanders, like you said, has had this crazy story and has had to battle through so much. I don't think this year necessarily needed to be the year that he becomes the guy. I think he's got time left. He has eligibility. Maybe transferring could be his best option where he could go start right away. For him, that might be the move he makes. But I think overall, if he waits his turn here, he will get his chance at some point.
And I hope that doesn't happen. But let me go back to the other thing you were talking about, Lane Kiffin's mic drop. Did anyone watch my show last night? I know it's a radio show and that we put it on the channel and there's commercials and some of you guys like that. Most of you guys don't. And I apologize, but this morning it played across the state of Alabama and people listen to it and they go, oh, that sounds like a radio show. That's what's cool about this site.
Yeah.
We got Jay doing the same thing with his show every day, Jay Barker. But if you watched my show last night here, or you listened, maybe you listened somewhere in this state, I agreed with Wilbon's assessment that Lane Kiffin is a clown. And the reason why, it goes back to when he was with the Oakland Raiders and Al Davis came out and he's like, hey, this guy and made a whole list about this guy. Then he went to Tennessee, and we know how that ended. And then he went to USC, and he got left on the tarmac, and we know how that ended. And then he came to Tuscaloosa, did a great job, and then all of a sudden we know how that ended. He's the only coach I know of that Nick Saban kind of got rid of before the end of the season, right? And then he gets another chance, and he goes there, and then today he does the mic drop right before they get their butts kicked on national television. Their prolific offense stunk, and I agree the guy's a genius. He created this offense, and he does a lot of things right. Don't mic drop. You're not Randy. What was the guy's name? Randy Jackson from Randy Watson. You're not Randy Watson. You don't know who Randy Watson
Randy
is.
Jackson probably
But you don't know who Randy Watson is, but you guys do. You know that he was the lead singer of Sexual Chocolate and Eddie Murphy's Coming to America.
Okay.
And he did the mic drop. He is the man that does the mic drop, not Lane Kiffin.
Well, I think Kobe, I was going to say Kobe's mic drop, I think is probably going to be a number one on the list at this point. But, it's crazy. It's embarrassing
Eddie
almost
Murphy,
at this
you
point.
remember Eddie Murphy?
Coming to America is a classic. I didn't know that was the soundtrack on. I'm learning things here. We're getting cultured on a Saturday night. But, this team doesn't really have that brand, or this Ole Miss franchise. I don't want to call it a franchise. It's a school, but they haven't had this brand of, modern and trying things and doing things like we saw today, the mic drop. And, Lane Kiffin has taken a lot of big risks in his career. And let's say, maybe 2 or 3 more of those work out for him. Maybe we're talking about him like he's a genius. And like you said, I think he's a really, really intelligent guy. But at the end of the day, you can only take so many risks. We saw it before the game with the mic drop. We saw it in game with the 4th down. It's just becoming a mess.
1 4th down, 2 4th down, 3 4th down. You didn't get any of them after that 1 point, and you lost the game because of it. You took yourself out of the game early, and you came into this stadium and you managed yourself out of the game. But I still think Lane Kiffin's going to be back. I don't think that this is the end for him. I think that he'll continue to recruit. I still think he's got the potential to even win a national championship. I do believe that. But he's got to get out of his own way, and he's got to grow up. And I don't know that you see the mic drop. I don't know. I mean, can you imagine Nick Saban mic dropping?
Oh, my goodness.
So funny. All right, let's go back to the phone lines again. You've been patiently waiting. Like and subscribe, guys, as you hang out with us from Westgate Luxury Condominiums right next to Bryant-Denny Stadium on a Saturday in Tuscaloosa. Who's this and where you come from?
I'm coming from Georgia.
What's going on?
Going into the half, I thought we were doing really good. I thought we were going to hold on to the lead and win the game at least. Yeah. It was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
Winning the game at least against a pretty good defense.
Were you excited about the way that Bryce Young came out and just, again, looked so good and poised and ready to lead this team? Were you nervous about this one?
Oh, yeah. I was listening to the radio last night, and somebody said that Ole Miss was 100% going to win. And just watching that game was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I guess they're not very good at predictions, are they?
100%. Man.
Hey, you should call in and tell them that the Ole Miss 100% lost. Where at in Georgia are you?
Oh, I'm in Bartow County, Georgia.
Oh, that's cool. Have you been to Tuscaloosa for a football game yet?
I've been to a state championship game, but never been to an Alabama game. My dad and I are looking to go to a game this season.
Hey, I'll tell you what, you and your dad are going to love it here. This is and look, you're watching right now, and you can see we're right next to stadiums right there.
It's insane.
That's it. So I mean, that's how close we are. We were sitting here when Bama was scoring, and the place vibrated because it was so loud in there. Do you plan on going to school at Alabama one day? Is that where you dream of going to college?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you got anything else? We're going to play Lane Kiffin's press conference here when you're finished talking. But I want to let you have the floor. Anything else you want to bring up?
Yeah, the mic drop was really funny. That's really y'all guys. Thanks. Roll Tide.
Hey, Roll Tide. Great call. I want you to call back in anytime. And I'm going to tell you something, Trey. When I was that age, I was calling into the radio shows too. I
Lighten up
remember
the
that.
lines.
There was a guy named Rex Barney who was the public address announcer for the Orioles when I was a kid. And he had a call-in show like this, and I used to call in. And he was always so nice to me. So then, look, I'm doing it now, and somebody's actually paying me to be here to talk, whether it's radio or net. But, all right, guys, we have it up now.
We do.
Are we ready for this? I'm ready for this.
I don't know. I don't know if everybody else is ready for this. This is going to be a very entertaining few minutes here, but I think we are ready to go. Chris, do we have the audio?
Let's fire him up.
Let's run it.
Got another year, but he should go be the first pick of the draft.
We'll take questions on Zoom.
Nick Suss.
You talked about the struggles up front. Just what did you see from your offensive line that allowed them to put so much pressure on Matt and kind of took away the run game too?
They played a lot of odd tight with 4 eyes, and that's a hard up front. When you do that, and so, I'd tell it how it is, good and bad. We got dominated up front, so that ain't hard to see. I'm sure you saw that watching. Matt didn't have very much time. We had negative runs, guys in the backfield. So again, that's not us doing a very good job. And it's also, credit to a really good defense. And I'd buy 31 and then 10 made plays. I thought about it towards the end of the game. Coach Saban said a year ago, he felt like afterwards, it was like every call was like the right call that we had. And everything went our way. And I felt like that today for them, defensively, like, we go speed option on 4th down, and number 10 makes a great play and catches Ely. Ely tries to cut back for some reason. So credit them for showing up, making a lot of plays.
Joey Blackwell.
Hey, Coach. Brian Robinson Jr. was able to rush for over 170 yards, and Alabama running backs in general over 200 yards. What made them so effective against you guys, particularly defensive line today?
Well, Brian's a good player. I remember him playing right here in high school in Tuscaloosa when I was there, and they ran him a lot to their left side. I guess left tackle might be the first pick of the draft since 31 can't come out because he's huge. And they ran behind him a lot. He guy's a dominant player, and Brian did a really good job, and was still in there at the end. So we actually finally stopped him there in the 4th quarter twice.
Parrish.
Lane, how far away do you think you are from your offensive and defensive lines being able to catch up and be more competitive in this kind of game?
Well, I think that's always an issue with Alabama. They sign the best players everywhere in the country, but they always sign the best in the front. And so, you're going to have to do unique things, no different than, when Ole Miss did beat Alabama. They had MDG and moved the front and, made a lot of plays. So it's always going to be a little uphill battle that way. That's just how it is. And, you got to scheme around it.
We'll go to Blake.
Lane, those 2 4th downs inside your own territory, do you think you would have gone for those against any opponent, or do you think playing Alabama influenced that decision?
No, that's actually opposite. If anything, 100% you go for it. And if, that's the other way. A lot of people don't do it because it's like scared money. When blackjack table, you got $5, it's easy, put a couple of thousand out there, now you get scared. And so I said we weren't going to do that. We were going to follow the analytics, follow the book, and not get scared because we're in Alabama and, not have confidence in our players and punt. Because, again, you can punt, then go score. They scored every possession but one in the first half. So, I know it looks bad when it doesn't work, but, again, you can punt it away. It just takes longer for them to score.
Back to Nick.
Lane, are there adjustments that can be made to be able to stop the run and still keep 5 or 6 in the box like you guys have this season?
Yeah, it's going to probably sound crazy, but you were there a year ago. They moved the ball a lot better a year ago, a lot faster than this year. It just took them longer this year. So we actually, made them work to get the rushing yards, even though it ended up being a lot. But, Brian's 4.8 a carry, that could have easily been a lot higher. So I don't think, it's a game where you say all of a sudden, okay, hey, we need to change what we're doing on defense. That's not really the storyline of the game. The storyline of the game is they did a great job on defense, great players, and made great adjustment with the coaches. And, we didn't.
John?
Right here, but Lane, you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but what were your takeaways of Matt's performance today overall?
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically.
I think it's going to sound strange. I think Matt played all right. It's not like he threw no interceptions. Whatever he was, completion 22 of 30. We didn't do a whole lot around him. And we didn't protect him. That's hard when you don't have a long time to throw, and actually, moved around, got out of trouble, and made some plays, or it would have been worse. So I thought, Matt still played well.
Quick follow-up to that. I mean, you've been coaching for a long time after kind of a loss like this, and you guys are rolling. What's kind of the key to kind of boost morale in the locker room with players afterwards after a game like this?
Make sure we understand it's one game, and there was a lot of hype and build up for the game, and one game does not define your season. It doesn't define you, it molds you. So you can go one way or the other. And I think in a way, as much as it hurts during it, it's kind of sometimes better when a game's like this versus last year where you're sitting saying, oh, one play, and then you got to hang over, and go play like we did against Arkansas. So hopefully this refocuses and shows us, how we got to do everything right.
We'll go to Michael.
Yeah, you guys had 78 rushing yards. Is that more of a factor of the way the pace of the game, the way the score was, or was that what Alabama was doing defensively?
Well, that's a combination, but especially as you saw the game in the first half, not a lot of holes to run. So had to try to be creative and come up with different things to get some more space and stuff. But if you don't get the first downs going and get them tired, I've always said, you've seen the Alabama defense for a long time. They can be a great defense and shut anybody down if you don't get them tired. And we didn't do that today. I thought we were starting that way with the first drive, and then, we sputtered after that.
Back to Nick.
Do you have an update or a diagnosis on Mingo?
I don't. That was a late in the week thing. Feel down for the kid. He was in tears wanting to play in this game, and has worked as hard as anybody. Felt bad for Matt losing him. Finding out Thursday that he wasn't going to play, so we'll see.
Okay, we'll take some questions in the room.
Coach, how much was playing at Bryant-Denny at full capacity, kind of your first true road game of the season, a factor in this game?
I'm sure it was. Once you put the headset on, we don't hear that as coaches. But, that's why they call home field advantage and 100,000 people, So I'm sure it affected the players somewhat. I didn't feel like we had, a lot of crowd noise issues where you saw a lot of false starts going on. And so, but I'm sure it was an impact.
All right, we'll take one more.
Lane, obviously, Jonathan not being in there is huge for you guys. The second leading receiver on your team in multiple categories. Not having him, how much did that kind of impact your game plan and impact, the outcome?
Well, when you lose a significant player late in the week, it's difficult because your game plan's already in. When we found out he wasn't going to play, so it's what it is. I kind of felt bad for Matt when it happened that he wasn't coming in with full strength weapons to go into this matchup. And so, we got to get better, and whoever plays.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, there you go. Lane Kiffin. And,
that's gold. I
Yeah.
mean, that is just gold. I think it really, it shows the kind of passion that he has for this matchup, if nothing else. You can see the emotion there post-game, and you saw it throughout the game, throughout the week. We knew that this game was going to be about the players. It was going to be about Alabama versus Ole Miss. But we knew a lot of this game was going to be about Lane Kiffin versus Nick Saban. Would he be the guy that could finally climb that mountain and, defeat his former head coach? Obviously, today was not the day for that. And you know what's crazy to think about? I think this is why numbers can be so deceiving sometimes. Alabama in last year's game won, I think, 63-48. That's a 15-point win. Today they won 42-21. That's a 21-point win. There's only a 6-point difference there, but these games felt incredibly different. It felt like Alabama dominated this game today. I think the one stat that you look at is really just the rushing yards. Alabama had 210 rushing yards. Ole Miss had 78. Ole Miss led the SEC in rushing coming into this game. They led the SEC in rushing last year. That was a big part of their offense. They didn't have it today, and it starts up front for Alabama all the way around. A dominant effort, and you can see it in the post game there with Lane.
I'm looking for the time of possession.
Yeah, let's see.
That's what I want to see here.
Here it is
stats.
right now. 37 minutes and 59 seconds for Alabama.
Right.
22 minutes and 1 second for Ole Miss. That's all you need to see.
Right, and normally with these spread teams, it doesn't matter, right? They say time of possession doesn't matter. Today, time of possession mattered because it was part of Alabama's game plan. They gave Lane, and you could tell there that he had a big dose of the elixir. He got the elixir. Dr. Saban gave him some elixir, and it came from Brian Robinson. A lot of handoffs to Brian Robinson. Bama controlled the game. They controlled the clock. They ran the football. They took advantage of that defense where they had 3 guys up front. They weren't doing anything. Bryce Young had all day to throw. This was a great game for the offensive line. I can't wait to see how they grade out with the Pro Football Focus because there were some big-time performances on that offensive line. And Brian Robinson had his best game as an Alabama player. And I'll tell you what, that was really, really fun to watch. And the stats bear that out. All right, we've got Nick Saban now. I can't wait to check out the Nick Saban press conference. We're efforting. We don't have that yet, but we're working on it, right? Is that it?
I think he said, let me know when to drop it. Are we good on Saban?
We're good. When you guys want to put the Saban up,
Yeah.
we want to hear from the Sabanator.
Especially
Let's
in
go.
the first half of, dictating the tempo of the game. Played really well. Got some key 4th down stops, moved the ball well on offense. We made some 4th downs, which made a big difference. But I thought we really, really played well. We knew that we were going to need to run the ball in this game, which was part of the plan. B-Rob did an outstanding job. Bryce did a good job of getting us in the right plays. If there's a negative in the game, it would be we got to learn how to finish games. We didn't finish the game like we'd like. Not making a 4th down, letting them score, misexecuting some things at the end of the game. But it's a great win. They have a good team. They have a lot of good players, and they're very well coached. Lane does a really good job with them, and their players played hard, and it was a physical game. And, I'm really proud of the way our guys competed in the game. So, I hope that we can build on this. Guys can build on the things that they do well, understand the things that they need to improve on that they did poorly, so that we can continue to make progress as a team.
Okay, with that, we'll start up front with Nick.
There we go right there. Guys, that's Coach Nick Saban as you hang out with us at Westgate Luxury Condominiums right outside of Bryant-Denny Stadium. As you can see behind us with Trey Yanity, I'm Mick Gillispie. And we even have the luxury camera, right? The Westgate luxury cam from up here on the sky deck. We got Kyle Henderson ready to jump on with us as well. So Kyle, when you're ready to get on board, jump in here and let's talk about this game. We heard from Lane Kiffin, and I guess Kyle, Trey and I have kind of given our thoughts on this. Like and subscribe, hit the bell.
Yeah, what's
and
up?
there he is. What's up, dude? Tell us what you think. What'd you see today?
Well, I mean, the biggest update, and credit to Brian Robinson. I'm really glad to see Brian Robinson put together a full game. I think we were all waiting for Brian Robinson to have kind of his breakout game, so to speak. I think this was his 56th all-time game playing for Alabama. So talk about waiting your turn. 36 carries, 177 yards. But a big update that I want to come in on share is the fact that Jace McClellan suffered what looks to be potential significant injury. Now we're going to find out more, as the week's coming towards. But in Saban's press conference, he said it was a knee, and he said initially it didn't look good. Now, with that said, Nick Saban also said the same thing with William Anderson when William Anderson went down, that officially and right away that the injury didn't look good. But then, William Anderson obviously came back and he's playing. So let's be patient before we, and find out the full details of Jace McClellan. So Saban said, and you'll hear it here on the press conference, he talks about it. He said, initially it doesn't look good, but, they're going to follow up. So we should have an update during Nick Saban's Monday press conference as we kind of turn the page to Texas A&M. Things that really stood out to me from this particular game is I want to really give credit to Brian Robinson on the offensive side. Nick Saban said that, because of Ole Miss's defense, they really wanted to attack Ole Miss on the ground. I mean, 36 carries, 177 yards. I mean, that is a beastly performance. Remember, Najee rushed for 5 touchdowns and 200 yards last game. So, or last time these two teams played. So they didn't really deviate from kind of that offensive attack. I also wanted to give credit to Pete Golding. I mean, how about Pete Golding? I mean, so many times, we hear kind of pointing the finger at Pete Golding or whatever, but I thought he did a great job stopping Ole Miss. And one of the things that Alabama really did in this game to stop Ole Miss was they didn't substitute as much. They kept the same personnel in, and that really helped kind of keep the same number of people on the field for Alabama. Usually when you look back to last year's game, they were going back and forth and swapping out a bunch of people. But I think Pete Golding did a great job, and I would like to see people give him some credit in the national media and kind of people who have kind of a pulse and who talk about Alabama football. What do you guys think about Pete Golding and kind of how he facilitated this defensive approach today?
Look, I thought it was a brilliant game plan. I mean, I thought Alabama looked ready to go, and Ole Miss made some plays. I mean, they got in some positions where Alabama was there to make the first tackle, and then the guy would miss, but the next guy would come up and put down the runners. And I thought that they attacked Matt Corral. I thought that they were good at the line of scrimmage, if not great.
Yeah.
And they had an answer for everything that Lane Kiffin was going to try to do today.
Well, and just how gritty does it get? I mean, we can talk about how many points they allow, how many yards, this, that, whatever. But you look at this season so far in that Florida game when they were on the goal line. You look at early in this game and a huge 4th down. Alabama has stood up when it really counts. Maybe they missed tackles at times. And early in this game, they were missing some tackles on that opening drive and had you a little bit worried. But when it's time to stand up, they have stood up. And say what you want about Pete Golding, but I think that comes in practice there.
I also wanted to talk about Bryce Young and kind of just the job that he does. And I thought, he continues to be under pressure a lot. But, I mean, man, the guy is a complete ninja. I think it's really incredible, his just escapability. I mean, it's really incredible to see him not only orchestrate this offense, but just to watch him perform when he's under pressure. I mean, today's numbers going against Matt Corral, who he had a Heisman-type numbers coming into this one, and so does Bryce. And you look at kind of the odds, I think Matt Corral and Bryce have kind of swapped positions. But in this game, I mean, Bryce Young continues to really impress. 21 for 27, 1 interception. That was the first time that we really saw him force a pass this season. Not bad for being his 5th game of the season. 241 yards with 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 3 times, but I thought he handled himself in the pocket really good. And I thought the way that he demonstrated that escapability, it really stands out to me. I mean, it's tough to get a shot on Bryce Young. And, I know that the wide receivers, kind of when you look, Alabama loves the 2 tight end set. So do I. I thought Jaleel Billingsley did a great job. So did Jamison Williams, 5 receptions, 65 yards. Not a big production from the wide receiving unit, but those guys certainly came up with passes when they needed to.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I thought that this was the type of performance you and I talked about last night that we both kind of felt like Alabama would have. But it was just a little bit – the game plan was just a lot better than I anticipated. The running the football and basically controlling the clock, it was something that I didn't see coming. Alabama's offensive line dominating Ole Miss. Didn't see that coming. They've struggled this year in games, right? Today they didn't. Today they went out there and they were the big kid on the block, and they they pushed them around pretty good. Alabama, and the other thing, Kyle, and we talked about this last night. I thought the stadium was really loud. I thought the fans did a great job. I thought they brought their A game to the stadium. And Alabama's got to do. We as fans got to do a better job of bringing that atmosphere to these games. When teams come to town, it needs to be like it was today because it was a difference. It made a difference.
I think they can even do better than that, Mick. I think we can raise the level of intensity. Today was a day game. I think maybe the next night game, next big ranked matchup at home, that's when we're going to get a true test. But the energy was great today. It was a lot better. Just nice to have everybody back in the stadium full time.
One other thing that I wanted to talk about kind of while I'm on, and I know there's some games coming on, so we're not going to keep you guys all night. We'll take some calls later. We'll continue to play Nick Saban's press conference, and I'll kind of dip out here in a little while. But I wanted to talk about just Lane Kiffin in general and kind of how he handled himself during pregame and kind of throughout this week. I think he does a fantastic job of staying inside the limelight. A lot of people love to talk about Lane Kiffin. I mean, he's very entertaining. You kind of saw on the TV broadcast, they asked him a question. He just threw his headset. It's kind of like dialed in or whatever. Maybe that was disrespectful to the reporter or whatever. I don't know. But I think that Lane Kiffin certainly, and correct me if I'm wrong, outside in the comment box, and I want to hear from you guys as well, Mick and Trey. Do you feel that Lane Kiffin coached this game with his emotions, whereas Nick Saban coached this game with his experience?
What did you think of the mic drop? I mean, was that Randy Watson type mic drop to you? I mean,
maybe he was dialed in, but I think you look at coaching from an emotional standpoint. You look at kind of some of those fourth and shorts. I know that Ole Miss, that's part of their offensive package, but I thought that maybe he was kind of playing a little bit more emotional, and I think he wants this game. He wants to beat Nick Saban. Just as bad as anybody, probably the most out of anybody. And I thought he coached a little bit too emotional. I thought even, they were back in the shadow of their own end zone and thought about going for it on 4th and 1. So, look, I know earlier, this week that ESPN called him a clown and all that stuff. Look, I don't think he's a clown. I think he's a good offensive coach. I think the defense needs to tighten up. But Lane Kiffin certainly, there's a lot of people out there that feel that they would want Lane Kiffin to one day coach back at Alabama. I know that's far to talk about, but, it's worth mentioning because I think a lot of people feel strongly about Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, he's a polarizing guy.
Oh, he is. And I mean, today you use the word emotion. I think that's a great word, but how about the word ego? I mean, this dude at times, it seems like he's just so concerned about whatever narrative he's pushing out and everything else. And, it's not to say that he's not brilliant. And, the scheme he had today wasn't, perfect, and they didn't go by a script because there was times in this game where you saw them go for 4th down and, it was a very aggressive call. If it works out, maybe they're in this game till the end of it. But, these decisions are really big decisions in the game. And, you mess up 2-3 in a row after a headset throw, mic drop, whatever. I think at that point you've dug yourself a hole, and it's just unnecessary at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, I don't disagree with you, Kyle, on the fact that, I think Lane Kiffin is a coach that a lot of people like, but I don't disagree with Michael Wilbon. I mean, every time you turn around, Lane Kiffin is in the middle of some stupid controversy that he created for himself. Yeah. And there's stuff that I would say on the air, and there's stuff that I know off the air that I don't need to talk about right now. And I'm not saying that he isn't an excellent football coach. He's a great recruiter. There's a lot of things that he does well. The problem is that there's all this other stuff that goes along with it. And it seems like it always circles around maturity. And maybe he doesn't really have that part in his brain that says, hey, man, this might not be a good idea to say or do this, Today, the 4th downs, I couldn't believe it. I was cheering for him to go for him on 4th because I knew he wasn't going to make them all, and that's exactly what happened. And Pete Golding and his defense, once they got that first stop, you could feel the momentum the confidence totally switch over to Alabama. The crazy thing about the SEC, guys, is that we're sitting here talking about Ole Miss. We got Texas A&M next week at College Station.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that, man. This conference, when you get into conference play, is brutal. I mean, look at Arkansas today. They've played Texas. They played Texas A&M, and now they go and they get beat by Georgia. Hey, guess what your prize is? Now you get to play LSU. Now you get to play. It's crazy how many good teams are in this conference right now and how exciting the football is as well, going into the Texas A&M game next week.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to mention one more thing before, we get back to Nick Saban's press conference and maybe take some more calls or whatever. I really want to give kudos to the Alabama defense. And I thought that this particular player, I'm trying to look for a photo of him, but I thought Jalen Armour-Davis was certainly tested today. They went to him. It'll be interesting to see kind of his Pro Football Focus grades because they certainly went at him. And I thought that he did a really good job. And he's someone that we really haven't talked about probably enough through these first 5 games or whatever. But I thought Jalen Armour-Davis, he was certainly tested, and he came up with some really good plays on the defensive side. I thought we saw a lot of growth from Drew Sanders. I thought Drew Sanders did a great job. I think someone's asking for an update on William Anderson. William Anderson, I don't have an update on him. We'll continue to get updates kind of leading up until Monday. Again, Nick Saban talks on Monday. And then, QQ says that DeMarco Hellams played great. We've talked about DeMarco Hellams and he's kind of like lays that wood. He's the big hitter from that safety unit. He was all over. I thought he did a really great job. I think overall the defense, I loved how they were flying around. I know there was some missed tackles or whatever, but I thought containing a very dynamic quarterback, some very good running backs. I know they were out, without Mingo today, one of their receivers, but overall, I thought their defense did a really great job. So kudos to the Alabama defense for sure.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, thanks for jumping on. We're going to put that Nick Saban press conference back on. We took calls at the beginning of the show. We talked about everyone, and then let's go over some stats after we hear from Coach Saban. But, go ahead and let's pop the press conference back on. Always love hearing from Kyle, by the way. Great insight.
Oh, yeah.
Let's listen to Coach a little bit more, and then we'll kind of break down what he says, and we'll take a final look at the stats tonight. And, we really haven't gotten deep into those other than Brian Robinson had a great game, and Bryce Young might be the Heisman leader come Vegas on Monday. Think about that.
With all the moving parts that they had offensively, what was the message in terms of telling your defenders to hit, the quarterback, running back, things like that?
Well, they do a lot of really difficult things to defend with their motions and screens and bubble passes and a lot of different things that they do. So, and the quarterback is really good. I think we affected the quarterback in the first half with the pass rush, which was probably really important. We didn't give up a lot of explosive plays until, late in the game. We gave up a couple. So we played the whole game in the same personnel group, so we didn't get in all this substitution stuff that was a problem for us last year. So, the players did a good job of executing it. And, most of the pressures that we did do were push the pocket in the middle, kind of simulator type things to play zone, because a lot of the stuff that they do is really tough to play man-to-man against.
Okay, we'll go right here. CW.
Congrats on the win, Coach. What were some adjustments that you and your team made to stop Ole Miss from converting on 4th down?
Adjustments you made on the 4th down plays to get those stops.
Well, I think they'd gone for something like, 12 or 14 4th downs, up to this point. And so we really sold our players on the fact when it's 3rd down and 7, it's really 3rd down and 3.5. And they're going to go for it on 4th down with any kind of field position at all. So you got to have the mindset that you're going to play 2 3rd downs. And we did a lot of the same things on the 4th downs that we did on 3rd downs. And the players just did a good job of executing it. And, it worked out well for us. So not that we did anything different. I think the whole game plan was a little bit different in terms of our approach, not to try to play as much situational football because of, the way they play on 3rd down.
Nick, how would you describe how your defense played overall and why did you have so much success, especially early?
Well, I thought they played really well, especially in the first half. I mean, I don't know, they had 100 yards or something. Now, we kept the ball a lot on offense, which is part of the plan too. And got some critical 4th down stops. And, probably in the second half didn't play quite as well. Maybe needed to make some more adjustments or something. But we also misexecuted some things that allowed them to make plays. So, you give them opportunities, they're going to make some plays. They got that kind of team, that kind of offense. But other than the way we finished the game, I thought the defense played extremely well.
Yeah, 'cause the methodical nature of your offense today, dictated by the fact you wanted to run the ball. Is that the personality today, or is that more the personality of this offense?
No, it's not really the personality of this offense. I just think that it was a combination of we wanted to keep the ball away from them, and the way their defensive structure is with, a 32 defense with 6 defensive backs. It's hard to throw when they're dropping 8 guys all the time. And they got 2 pretty good rushers, so they end up getting some decent pressure with the 3-man rush, even though Bryce did a good job a couple times moving in the pocket and making plays. So it was a combination of this is how they line up, as well as this is the type of game it needs to be. It's not really how we want to play. It's not how we've played all year. And it's not going to be, the style that we want to continue to play. We have to do the things we have to do to try to win the game. And playing the way we played today on offense was the way we needed to play to win the game.
Sorry about that. We'll go to Aaron Suttles on Zoom. Go ahead, Aaron.
You talked about the effectiveness of your pass rush, how you were effective the quarterback tonight. I just wonder, since Drew Sanders has got more and more reps, how much have you seen him grow in sort of his growth as a player?
He's really doing a good job. We continue to, he plays the run really well. He's a good pass rusher. The pass drop stuff is, something that we're continuing to work on him with, and he's getting better and better at that. So he'll, to play him and Will at outside backer allows us to do a lot of different things. So we're getting a little thin in outside backer relative to injuries. So we'll see if we can continue to do that.
We'll stay on Zoom with Charlie.
Hey, Coach. We didn't see Jason McClellan much in the second half. Do you have an update on him?
Who?
Jason McClellan.
Jace has a knee injury. The initial report on it is not good, but until we do an MRI, we don't know for sure. But I think he's probably going to be out for a while.
One more here on Zoom to Cecil.
Coach, that was certainly statistically Brian Robinson's best game. What did he have extra today? What enabled him to have that kind of performance?
Well, we gave him the ball 32 times because it was part of the plan. Jace got hurt, or we'd have played Jace more in the game. And, I've always been one of those guys, when a runner is running hot, run him. And he was running hot today, so we ran him, and he delivered. For the most part, he did a really, really good job. And not only the offensive line did a good job of blocking him up front, but he pressed it and made the right cuts. And then he was difficult to tackle and got a lot of extra yards after first contact.
Finish up with Katie.
Coach, you had encouraged the fans throughout the week to get loud. How much of a boost do you think the crowd was, especially maybe on those 4th downs early in the game?
Oh, I think it was a huge factor. It makes it difficult for them to communicate. They also got a couple false start penalties that I think were contributed by the noise, which, makes more positive down a distance for the defense, and you can play a little bit different. So I thought it was a great crowd today. I really, they're part of the team, and, they certainly deserve credit for part of the win. They did their part, and I'm really pleased and happy about that.
Well, there it is right there. Nick Saban in his press conference with Trey Yanity. I'm Mick Gillispie. We're at Westgate Luxury Condominiums. Find out more information about Westgate at westgateal.com or call 855-287-1318. It's located, as you can tell, obviously, right? We're just footsteps away from Bryant-Denny Stadium. You're talking about the best tailgate spot that's ever been put on this campus right here. And we're at it. It's the Skygate Club, and that's where we're doing our show today. They've catered the thing. I just saw Chris put down a delicious brownie.
Oh, yeah.
We had shrimp and grits up here. It's part of the Skygate game day experience. They've got luxury condos with high-end finishes, appliances, and more. And basically what they're doing is that they built this. There's some units available. You buy them. You can earn rental income. There's on-site hospitality team that helps you handle your owner responsibilities, your guests when they're here. You have access to world-class housekeeping and maintenance crews. There's a website and digital marketing services available to you for your resident to maximize their revenue and distribution. So it's really awesome. I mean, it's right here next to the stadium. Couldn't be any better.
It's world class. You talk about the staff here, Jillian, everybody involved, the chefs today, everybody, the maintenance guys. I mean, everybody's been so great here. And, you talk about the proximity. If you guys haven't seen this place, I mean, we were literally pregame looking across the way into the stadium, waving at people, communicating. We're right across the street. So it really couldn't be a better spot, but excited for the rest of the season here.
It was amazing. Chris, who's our behind the scenes guy, Chris Daughtry, he threw up a hand and some dude threw him a stadium dog. He caught the stadium dog and then
it was a beautiful play.
It was like a Bryce Young pass.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But it would be cool. You could literally put a bridge over there.
Oh yeah, no
from
doubt.
where we are right now. All right, final thoughts on Nick Saban and his press conference.
This was a game where we could have watched a post-game press conference where I think he could have been really frustrated with this thing or that thing, because Ole Miss is the kind of team that could have come in and taken advantage of some of Alabama's weak points. But Alabama turned those weak points into the strong suits today. Nick Saban reiterating all of those things, talking about some injury stuff, this, that, whatever, your typical questions. But overall, I don't think he can be upset with his performance. Maybe you want to talk about Alabama didn't play, all 4 quarters, this, that, whatever. But, today, this was a complete game in the sense of, you got dominance on both sides of the football for, more than a quarter, 2 quarters of this game. And overall, I think he's happy with that. I think this team's going to be pretty happy with this win moving forward.
There's a part of him that's going to be a little content when he's riding across the Black Warrior River over to Northport to his house, right? He's going to be thinking about the little bit of revenge he got on Coach Kiffin today, and the fact that he came out there and his team did an excellent job of playing one of the toughest offenses. This was the number 1 offense in football that Alabama beat today, and 21 points, that last touchdown, the penalty. I mean, come on, it really could have been a lot worse than that, but this feels like a typical Alabama Ole Miss score, to be honest with you. I've been watching these games forever. Ole Miss rarely beats Alabama, and they're normally pretty lopsided, but the way that Alabama physically dominated as a line of scrimmage kind of played into that. I'm a little worried about Chase McClellan. I love watching him play. He's a big part of this offense. It's going to be tough for Alabama moving forward not to have him, and it doesn't sound like they're going to have him.
They probably, won't for at least 1-2 more weeks. We're going to find out a lot more about this as the week goes on, so we don't want to over-speculate in one way or the other. But, you hope Chase can get recovered quickly, get back to this team. But what you love about this offense, this team as a whole, there's just so much depth at every spot. We were talking about Trey Sanders earlier. Maybe this is his chance. I think Roydell Williams will probably become running back number 2 behind Brian Robinson, and then maybe Trey Sanders after that. But this is opportunity, and this is a deep running back room that's ready to go. We've seen all of them perform really well this season.
All right, let's get into the stats. That's the one thing that we really haven't hit. We heard from both coaches. We took your calls. Let's get into the stats a little bit. We know that Brian Robinson had an amazing game today, 36 carries, 171 yards, 4 touchdowns, and, just methodically punched Ole Miss's defense in the mouth the entire game. Bryce Young takes a step closer to becoming he's one of the Heisman Trophy favorites right now. Look, this was a game that statistically 20 of 26, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He managed the offense well. He was able to move behind the line. He always looks so poised. I don't know that he's going to win the Heisman because he's not putting up gaudy numbers, but I'll tell you what, Matt Corral, on the other hand, was the Heisman Trophy favorite, and his hopes to win the Heisman definitely took a hit today. He only threw for 213 yards, had a fumble. threw a touchdown, no interceptions, 21 of 29. And like Lane Kiffin said, he just didn't have time to throw.
He didn't. And you know, for this game today for Matt Corral was huge because this was his chance to really prove, hey, I'm as good as everybody's saying I am. I am the Heisman front runner. I am this, that, whatever. You know, you can't blame it on one player, but you look at this performance, this is the first time Ole Miss has faced a true defense. So, you know, faced an SEC school that can bring it on the other side. And Matt Corral struggled with that at times today. His line didn't look good. Alabama's defensive line put unbelievable amounts of pressure on him. And that was going to be the key, in my opinion, the biggest key to this game was doing that. But overall, you know, you want to talk Heisman, sometimes it does come down to that head-to-head. And Bryce Young really did get the best of Matt Corral today. 21 for 27 versus 21 for 29. Not crazy different in the numbers here, but you don't even really have to break down the stats. Watch the game. Watch the decisions that they were making. Some of the accuracy that Bryce Young had over Matt Corral. At the end of the day, you know, if he wasn't already the front runner, I think he slides back above Matt Corral after this performance.
Alabama covers a spread that was 14.5.
Yeah.
It started out at 17.5 and the over, and Alabama covered. Everyone was taking Kiffin and Ole Miss was 17.5. They got it down to 14.5. They didn't cover, and then the over under was 79, and that didn't hit.
Oh man, what are we looking at? I guess 63 here.
Yeah, so
Wow.
really think about that. So really, the first quarter of the football game kind of killed the over under. Right, it was a 7-0 Alabama first half. But if you like to gamble, the real and look, you guys got to check out the College Sports Book. Jeff Cameron and me. Sometimes you're on there, Trey. It's the first half Alabama cover. They do it every single game. The first half was 28-0.
I was going to say, what was the line on that coming into today, just for the first half?
I'm not sure. I think it was like in the 13 range or something.
Wow.
Maybe 7.
I like that.
That's a good question, but they definitely covered it, and they constantly they seem to constantly do that. Maybe it was like 8.5 or something. I'm not 100% sure. All right, let's get back into these statistics. Another thing, talking about Bryce Young, is the fact that he loves to distribute the football. Loves seeing Billingsley involved from the tight end spot, right? Latu had a touchdown, so you get both tight ends in the game, but Williams led the way, 5 catches, 65 yards. Bolden had some really big catches, 4 catches for 58 yards, and some of those were third down conversion catches.
Some of them were huge. I mean, you look at really one play in this game, and I don't think anybody's going to talk about. There's a big third down. Alabama was just into their own territory. This is, I believe, somewhere in the mid-second quarter, that range. Bryce rolls out, avoids some crazy pressure, throws to a diving Slade Bolden. They convert, they go down and score, and that's when you really started to feel like Alabama had control in this game. Slade Bolden, obviously, still isn't in the best of favor with some Alabama fans after the drop pass from a couple weeks ago. But, I don't think that's way behind him at this point. I think Slade Bolden is going to be a huge leader on this team. And you love how many different guys that continue to get involved. You look down the stat sheet here. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different guys receiving passes. Maybe 9. I can't really count too well at this point in the night. But 9 different guys receiving the football. You got a running back room that, when Jace McClellan returns, you have 3-4 different guys you can go to. There's just so many weapons, so many tools on this offense. And you look at the stats, they're all spreading it out. It's been incredible to watch.
All right, let's talk about the team stats head to head here. As we move forward here. And guys, like, subscribe, hit the bell. This is the Bama Insider YouTube channel. We're talking to you live right outside of Bryant-Denny Stadium after Alabama's 42-21 win over Ole Miss. The Crimson Tide now 5-0 and 2-0 in conference action. Ole Miss falls to 3-1. They're 0-1 in the SEC. They lose their opener to the Crimson Tide. All right, Bama, 27 first downs compared to 18 for Ole Miss. The big number in this game to me was Ole Miss was 2 for 5 going for it on fourth down. Bama was 3 for 4. Bama beat them at their own game.
I was just going to say, that was the storyline coming into this game. And you want to talk about going for fourth down looking crazy. It did look crazy in your own territory, but we knew this was going to be the strategy today. I was not surprised to see it on the first drive of the game, the second drive, whenever. I thought we'd see it a lot today, but I thought they would, be able to convert early on in this game, and Alabama was the ones doing that. You want to talk about going for it in certain situations. I'm more of a points guy myself. Lane Kiffin obviously tries to be aggressive in these situations, and it failed him today. And I think you really do look back to that first fourth down miss, and that was the difference in this game. Alabama, of course, doing their fair share there on fourth down as well.
Bama did a nice job early in the game avoiding penalties. They ended up with 5 for 52 in the game, and Ole Miss was 7 for 55. And then, as I start to feel more raindrops,
I was going to say, here we go again.
I know that this is probably a sign that we need to pack things up here and say farewell. But the time of possession to me in this ball game, the way that it played out, was the biggest difference. 37, almost 38 minutes for Alabama. I'm just going to say 38. I'm rounding up to 22 for Ole Miss. Ole Miss never had enough time with the football to make a difference in this game.
Not at all. And, this was a game where the offense, whichever offense controlled the pace, I think was going to win the game. And, for Alabama, it was the running back room really controlling the pace of this game. And I think for Ole Miss, it would have had to be the same thing. You needed the Yili kid to come out, have a really good game. You needed Matt Corral to do Matt Corral. That wasn't the case. The time of possession displays it so well there. And, dominant really all the way around. I think that's the number really you want to look at. You can look at the score all you want. The 38 minutes to 22 minutes. That's dominance.
All right, guys, look, I think we've about said it all tonight. I think we've recapped this game, and it was a good day for Alabama. I mean, final thoughts. I mean, just kind of going through this. Good day for Alabama, Trey. I love the fact that when Nick Saban gets into these games, it's like there's just this motivation that he has. And when he took the job over, it was Auburn. Alabama had lost 6 straight games to Auburn. He lost the last game. He went into that Iron Bowl, and he's like, hey, it's just another game. He left that Iron Bowl never saying that it's just another game, because it's not just another game. Ended that streak. Florida Florida was like the king of the hill in the SEC. They had Urban Meyer. They had Tim Tebow. 2008, Alabama lost to them, and then all of a sudden he came back and orchestrated this amazing game plan to beat Florida, and then that led to the first Alabama national championship game. Alabama, lost to Clemson. They come back and they beat them the next time they play. The way that he's changed the offense, which was one of the narratives of this game, having Lane Kiffin come in and help him go from a conventional type style to, the spread set. So he always seems to get pushed and finds a way to be ready to tackle that challenge. And today, last year they beat Ole Miss, but it was a game that wasn't pretty for Alabama. And guess what? They played, I think they played about as well as you can against that style of offense and a team that's that good.
No doubt about it. This game was one of the games that you circled on the beginning of the season as maybe one to look out for. And as the season went on, it just continued to build in the hype and the intensity leading up to this thing. Alabama came out, did Alabama today. They blocked out all the noise. They controlled the pace on both sides of the football. And you know what? It's credit to Ole Miss for putting this team together, 2 years to make this rebuild happen. And the fact that, they're continuing to get these recruits. I think Ole Miss is going to have some really good teams in the future. They could test Alabama in the future. They're just not there yet. Obviously, Lane Kiffin's playbook ran out of pages, as he said pregame. just can't run out of pages. Well, it did today. Alabama dominates at 42-21.
What a game. The mic drop, all of the hype coming in. And then guess what? We get to look forward now to Texas A&M, and it was Jimbo Fisher that said, what did he say? We're going to kick Alabama's ass? Is that what he said?
I'm not going to directly quote him like that, but I think it was something, right.
Right. Well, I guess I'm just that's what he said.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, now we get to build into that all week,
yeah,
and kind of see how this whole thing goes down. Alabama most likely would play Texas A&M 2:30 next week. I'm guessing that'll be the 2:30 game, as Texas A&M right now plays Mississippi State. It's been a lot of fun, man. We got a bunch of stuff going on this week on the site. Tomorrow night, I'll be on at 6:00 with our live call-in show, the Sunday night call-in show. Monday at 6:00, we got Monday Night Quarterback with Trey Yanity. Tuesday, you and Andrew Bone. Wednesday, it's you and Kyle.
Yeah.
Thursday, we've got stuff on the site. Friday, the Bama Insider Tailgate Show. And for all of you guys that are looking for something to do while Bama's in Texas, come on down and hang out with me on the line. I'm be at the Floor Bama, doing it from down there. That'll be another really fun night of football and everything else that goes with it. And then, of course, our great game day coverage on Saturday. That'll be as Alabama takes on Texas A&M. So we got a lot of stuff coming up on the site, and then all the press conferences will be up there as well, including Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban from tonight. Did I miss anything?
I think you covered it all. It's a lot of stuff, guys. Please go check it out. Hit that like button one more time before we get out of here as well. But great run through, Mick. I think you got it all.
Hey, and again, just remember, folks, we're at the Westgate Luxury Condominium right here next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. 79 luxury condominiums located 200 steps. That's it, 200 steps or one long stadium dog throw to Chris Daltrey from Bryant-Denny Stadium. And you're talking about just amazing oversized balconies, spacious floor plans, Sub-Zero equipped kitchens. I mean, this is luxury the way that you want it. There are spacious 1 through 5 bedroom condominiums, and they range from 900 to 3,000 square feet. And you can find out all the information that you want at westgateal.com or by calling 855-287-1318. Special thanks to Kyle Henderson for his help. And is it dessert time, guys? Do you smell that?
Some smell is heavenly just coming in right now.
That's our sign with the raindrops and that smell right there for the food, right? Chris Daltrey for his help producing, and for Trey Yanity, I'm Mick Gillispie. Again, the final score is Alabama moves to 5-0 on the season, 42-21. What a big win for the Crimson Tide here in Tuscaloosa. The fans, you guys owe yourselves a pat on the back. That's how I want to end this show today. This was the type of home field advantage that all of us are proud of. You guys went in there and rocked it tonight, and that's what's going to have to be like every single game here at home. And tonight, a good start to the real home slate of SEC games. All right, that does it for us. Roll Tide, everybody. Good night.